it's good to nurture that. And so like Jesse and I went to, it's hard to remember how many years, 3 or 4 years ago now, we were like, in small business, we were having
going to France?
Yeah, we had some
trouble.
5 years. Like we were, bickering too much at work and letting, all the shit get in our way. And I was like, I think part of it is we need to take a trip. And so we went to France for a week, and, which sounds super bougie, but I mean, it kind of is, but it was fucking sick though. I mean, we had a great time. We went to Burgundy and did a bunch of shit, and it was,
but you look at us, you're like, these guys went to Burgundy?
Oh man, our interpreter who picked it, because we got, we got interpreters because we have technical questions at the wineries. We're not just fucking around.
Totally.
And we are fucking around, but at the same time, we had technical questions. And I remember the interpreter when he picked us up, and we're both like sleeve tattooed and stuff. And he's like, "Ooh, these guys are into wine? I don't think so."
He's like, must be Coke money.
And then we passed some vineyard, and I was like, "Oh, that's interesting. I thought you said you didn't dry farm, but or I thought you said you dry farm, but those are irrigation pipes." And he looked at me like, "Oh, okay, this guy knows what he's talking about."
After a while, he was like, he started to enjoy the trip, because we knew we love and enjoy wine, and we knew we were knowledgeable and we were respectful to the other wineries. We weren't just like, where do grapes come from?
Yeah.
And he was, at the end, he was giving us stuff that he probably normally wouldn't have told most people.
And that trip was super important for us to like get away and kind of, rekindle and reconnect, and just and that kind of stuff's super important to do, I think.
All the rooms we booked had one bed. Just kidding.
I think you make a great point about having your own identity outside of your partnerships or your relationships, right? I'm going to speak just for myself, because I don't know if maybe I'm the odd man out, but that's never been a strong suit for me. It's something that I believe in.
Being your own person?
Yeah, I mean, I tend to get sucked into a relationship to the point where, because I'm the caretaker, usually is what it is. It's not about that I'm the person who makes sure everybody's okay, right? Like everybody's taken care of. I solve all the problems. I organize all the things. I
great,
put
but
myself,
you can't take care of your own problems.
Right. So that has been my MO for most of my life. And this is a new journey for me where I'm hyper aware that I can do that to a certain degree, also without losing who the hell I am. Yeah. And so I've had 2 marriages. Neither were successful. And I can say primarily one of the biggest reasons is because I completely lost my identity within these relationships.
An oak tree cannot grow in the shade of another oak tree.
And maybe this is overstepping our boundaries. That's not sexy either. You know what I mean? Like,
totally.
To me, like a woman that can't, like, it doesn't know who she is outside of our relationship isn't sexy.
Confidence is very sexy.
And maybe it's like, who cares what your opinion is? But it's just the reality, like that there's something to be said for that. You know what I mean? Like, just true.
Yeah, no, I agree with you. I totally agree with you.
There's something about that I've always found really important.
I find wet paper towels very attractive. Oh wait, no, I don't.
But at the same time, then everything's great. But I see life as really a spectrum, and that's what everything is. People are spectrums, and so you have people that come over here on this side of like introverted or extroverted, or just to use those terms that people know, and people that are more giving than altruistic or whatever, and more independent. And it's all over the place.
Right.
And some of them are healthier than others and whatever. But at the end of the day, I think that's what, if you can acknowledge it, then you can kind of like maybe work a little bit back,
right.
But you're never going to like fully change. That's part of what makes you who you are. And that's not a bad thing, but you got to,
I think self-awareness is the key, right? It's like you realize, I mean, I think I always kind of realized it was an issue, but now I'm hyper aware of who I am. I've done a lot of work on myself, like a lot of self-introspection and learning and
I love
growth.
Self-help stuff.
I do too. I'm kind of a junkie. Yeah. So the last 4 or 5 years, that's been a big part of my life. And it's become, I'm embracing still who I am and the person who likes to make everybody, feel good and take care of everything. That's who I am. This, right. But also I do put myself first more often. And I do, and it's not even about first or second, but it's more about like,
towards the front.
Just don't give yourself a participation trophy.
Even still, it's like I can do what I want to do for you and still take care of me. That's been the big awareness.
Make sure you're in the equation somewhere.
I feel like I have to circle back to this manifestation word that we talked about before, because I agree with you. I'm going to say first, like we do need to come up with another word. But just this past half year or so, I've really started, in this kind of self-help work that I've done is like diving into this concept of like just maybe not just being like, oh, I'm going to manifest this. It's going to land in my lap. It's not as much about that, but being a little more open to kind of energetic shifts, like here's where I want to go. This is where I want to put my energy, and then just letting go of the control of it.
Well, I say pretty much on a weekly basis, you have to have a goal to reach it. Call it manifesting or whatever, but like, how are you supposed to end up somewhere on the map? I mean, you can just arbitrarily wander around, but that's very fucking frustrating.
If you don't have an aim, you can land anywhere.
Yeah.
Right. But it's not just about having the aim too. It's like, okay, I want to get there. I want to feel this way. I want to accomplish this goal.
You don't even need to finish that goal. You can pivot along the way too.
Exactly. You still have to put some work behind it. You don't just like wait for it to fall. But
that's the undertone of it, of all of those kind of things, is you still have to put the work in.
Right.
You can be passionate or manifest or whatever, but there's still a lot of work associated with that.
Exactly.
And I think we're not talking about like being in a Russian gulag smashing rocks kind of work.
Right.
I mean, but there's a lot of work.
Sometimes it feels that way.
Sometimes it feels that way, sure. But there's a lot of work involved in getting to those things. And I think that takes just some time to realize.
Also, though,
some people realize it early. We have a cousin that realized it really early, and now he's like an engineer for Ford, and has done all this like academically rigorous stuff, and he put in work in that area really early on, and some people can do that.
Yeah. I will caution people to, I get a little bit annoyed at the whole, and this is it feels like an Instagram movement where it's like, hustle, put in the hustle. Like, yes, like you generally are not going to get to your goal if you don't put some work behind it. I don't subscribe, however, to this idea that you should just pick a thing and you should drive yourself into the ground until you're burnt out.
No.
Just because you have to meet this goal. It's like you have to loosen up a little bit. Maybe you're going to take some.
You're more productive if you get good sleep anyway, right?
I agree.
It's like, go get a good night's sleep, buddy.
God, sleep is the thing.
I'm wearing
a
an
sleeper.
Oura ring right now. Tracks my sleep.
Okay, I was going to ask you about that. I've met one other person in my life who has one of those. Is that a sleep tracker?
Yeah, it's a sleep tracker, and then also activity track. It's like a Fitbit, but it's a little bit. The Scandinavians came up with it, so they're super into technology. So it's a little bit geekier than that. It's not a chip inside my body, but it's the second closest thing.
Although you can fit it inside your body if you want. But I have one too. After watching him play around with it, it's kind of
I don't like to. I mean, David Asprey, you might know him.
I do. I met him.
He's an interesting guy, and I've read some of his books and I listened to his podcast.
He's a character.
He's a character, and he's got some interesting stuff. He's super eccentric in some other ways, but this was one of the things that he brought up. And I will say, it's helped me pay a little bit more attention to some lifestyle stuff.
Well, it's really interesting because I think we both have issues with deep sleep.
Yeah,
and when you get I'll get 2 minutes of deep sleep per the ring, and I feel like I'm hungover and I didn't sleep for 3 days.
Okay, so here's the question. You have a tracker that tells you got 2 minutes of deep sleep or whatever. Then what? You have to make a change, right? Does it tell you what to do?
Well, you can do a little recon, right? You maybe stop drinking excessive amounts of alcohol, but don't smoke weed right before you go to bed because THC inhibits sleep, and the half-life is, I think, 6 hours for THC.
Same thing for wine, though, right?
Basically any big meals late at night, working out late at night.
So it's not an end-all, be-all, but it's you start guiding yourself into this direction. Go to bed at 10:30 versus 12:30.
Minimizing the screen time. I mean, there is about 10 things you can play with. Take more magnesium, glycine, all these different things you can.
But that's the point. Is like you get a little bit of data, and you're like, okay, now I need to do a tweak, and then you do whatever it takes.
And nobody's the same. Some people are over lovers, and some people are really narcissistic. It's the same kind of thing with your metabolism. We all have different
over lovers. Can we dive into that?
Over lover, like you're loving me too much. Please go away. Now.
You're literally making me uncomfortable with your love.
Here's a life hack for you for sleep: cherry juice, tart cherry juice. And
also for gout.
Yeah.
Do you have gout?
I do get gout.
Yeah. So tart cherry juice. This is how I do it. I do it nightly. About this much in
is it
whatever.
A concentrate
it's you just buy it at fucking Whole Foods.
I think I've seen this.
But you have to make sure it's tart cherry juice.
It's very specific.
Anyone
and I
with gout would understand
that we know about cherry
the
juice.
tart cherry.
I just warm up water and I mix it and make it like a tea. So I have a rock glass
and you find
full.
it helps you sleep?
It's a game changer.
But is it a proven thing or is it?
It's proven.
Really?
Yeah. It's also,
I need this.
I mean, it's amazing. Just
slept
go
horribly last
$7
night.
for a freaking bottle at Whole Foods.
And you said you have to do it in an enema? It's an enema?
I did not say that.
Can you do it in enema?
You can. I don't know.
I'm going to do it in enema.
I'm not going to.
I choose B.
Episode 2.
Yeah. So the game changer.
Yeah.
Not even joking.
We'll throw it in.
So,
because
like an hour before bed, right before bed.
I do it. I'm a kind of an early getting into bed person and just turning the TV on. So I'll drink
TV
it.
in bed really bad for sleep.
I know, but actually it's really good for me falling asleep.
Get your blue blocker
Yes, you're
glasses
right.
on.
I'm an easy to fall asleep person, but I'm also the person who wakes up, multiple times at night and then sometimes can't fall back asleep. So the cherry juice has changed my
I got
life.
that trifecta of bad sleep. I can't go to sleep very easily. I wake up in the middle of the night and then I wake up.
Try
super
it
early.
tonight. Like, don't have another booze drink
You're not
after
my
we
real
leave
mom.
here.
Don't tell me what to do. All right, I'll do it. Fine.
But those kind of things are,
Yeah.
to take it, I guess, full circle, those kind of things, you're right. If you have the data, but you don't do anything, don't matter.
That's the
But
point.
there's about, 10 or 12 things that you can do, meditation, the Wim Hof breathing, all that kind of stuff that can help you sleep better.
Hey, are either of you guys Kaiser people?
Nope.
Like as in,
Like, do you have Kaiser as insurance?
That's how you can tell a non-Kaiser person. What's Kaiser?
Kaiser?
Not that you have to be,
even
because
German.
there's an app.
Young Turks
There's an app called Calm. I love how you guys
We get a
suddenly.
lot of inside jokes.
You totally do, and you get like eye locks, and then all of a sudden I realized I just
Well, it's
lost
'cause
the room. Like they just literally just went
the
into
two young
another.
Turks. Like we were, I think it was like 2007 or 8. Someone did a wine review and gave us a glaring review, and they're like, "Oh, these two young Turks." And I didn't know what the fuck two young Turks was, but obviously it's like revolutionary. We were like, "We're not Turkish."
I don't know what it is.
A young
Okay.
Turk is basically like there's like a Turkish revolution. It was the young Turks were like taking the people by storm and
kind of the new guys on the block
yeah,
and like
the Revolutionary Guard kind of thing.
and they were giving it to us as a
and I
compliment. We were like,
legit
these
wrote an
fucking guys.
email and I was like, we're not Turkish, and the guy's like, that's
Never mind.
He's like, you're morons. And so that's
You're not Turkish, but you're
And that's what
dumbasses.
I'm pretty sure that's what you were.
That's what I was
referencing
referencing when I looked at
verbally
his
like,
eyes.
Great. I don't even know.
And
I
the thing
was
that made
gonna-
it, really,
We're morons.
that's when we knew we were from Siskiyou County.
Yeah,
And
I
then,
don't know stuff good.
Wait, back to where you're fucking from.
Siskiyou.
Where is this place?
It's the
you're
I think it's
talking
the
of.
Southern Oregon,
fifth
basically.
biggest county in California with the least amount of people.
It's Mount Shasta. Like
Okay.
we grew
See,
up
thank you. We're just
30
pop
minutes,
culture.
I like
40
to keep
minutes
them
north of Mount Shasta.
How far is that from Grants Pass, Oregon?
About 2 hours.
Yeah.
We used to play them in. Both of us played
The
sports in high
cavemen.
school. We used to play Grants Pass in basketball.
You were a basketball player?
We both played basketball. Yeah.
Did you see how I just looked at him?
Yeah. Well, we also
I'm 6'1", that's
senior
not
year,
short.
His senior
You
year,
are?
yeah.
I just
How
look
tall
shorter
are you?
because I'm next to 6'4"
You
over here.
do, right?
Just imagine if I had
6'4".
if I had hair, this guy would be like 2'3".
But yeah, we
my God.
we would play a lot of, because we were so far north. For preseason, we would play a lot of Southern Oregon schools.
Oh,
Yeah.
okay, got it.
And we both
Bedford.
quit. This is, I guess, because we're very different people in a lot of ways, but we also have a lot of pride. But not, I think not in a bad way, but like self pride, like self worth. Our senior year of high school, his senior year of high school, and my junior year, it was the most insulted I've ever been playing sports in my entire life, and I was like, "Fuck this!" I went to the coach, and I was more submissive than
Than you are now.
I would like to admit. I was just kind of like I roll with the
He was
punches.
very
Yeah.
laid. He was very laid
like
back.
too laid back. But I was like, you know what?
I think laid back is the better word than
yeah,
submissive.
yeah. Yeah,
FYI.
yes. There's
I mean,
time
some
and place.
people would say little
There's
bitch,
time and
but
place.
whatever.
Fuck you. But I went into the coach's office and I was like,
He wasn't playing.
I was not playing a lick. I was used to playing and being at least decent at all
Yeah.
sports that I played. And it was the point where like this guy he played my position was 7'1", and he was so and so's tired for the last 10 seconds of the game. Why don't you get in there and give him a break? I'm like, fuck you, dude. And so he just did this so many times, and I was like, fuck this. I quit. I'm done. Like I love playing sports. I don't mind being the guy on the bench. But I don't need to be insulted on top of
right.
it. And then, but Aaron, maybe a month later, a couple weeks later, he quit too because we were just like, "Fuck you."
It was a
Yeah.
culture on that. It was funny to go back into that kind of stuff. But sports were a big part of growing up in a small town in Northern California. I mean, sports were a big thing to us, and they were, I don't know, somewhat defining. And that was a big deal to quit a team. Like it wasn't, I wouldn't say how we were raised, because our parents didn't really give a shit if we played sports or not. It was really more self-driven. But we were not the guys. He was a good player. I was a good player. We enjoyed it. We weren't people that ever saw ourselves quitting. But then the disrespect of a high school coach got us to kind of be like, fuck this.
He just didn't like the cut of our jib, I think, too. I mean, we're the same people we are now to